All right, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and get started now. Thank you so much for joining us today. We want to remind you that this is being recorded and it will be archived where you can go back and share with other educators and maybe even share with your students again. My name is Daisha Jones or Dr. Drizzle, and this is the National Parks Adventure Crossing America. We are so excited to be here today in collaboration with the National Park Foundation. So just in our last 3 months partnership, we have reached over 50,000 students through our Crossing America adventure, which means that there are 50,000 students, and some of those are repeats, who are learning about national parks, their stories, and then learning how they can impact national parks and their own communities. So we're so excited to be here to help you with that. I want to show you a few things before we start. First of all, make sure that your camera is on. You're welcome to keep your camera on. We love to see your faces. And but make sure your audio is off. There'll be time at the end where you can actually answer some questions, and we'll be good with that. The chat window. We're going to use the chat window today to answer questions. So feel free to drop in the chat window where you're from. We've got people from New York, and we have classes from Florida. We have people from Kentucky, so we're glad to have you. And obviously, we have some from Virginia and also DC. As we learn today, remember we are scrapbooking this adventure. So I have all of my scrapbook pages from all of the other times that we have been working with the national parks in the last 3 months. So today I thought I would just give you an idea of what you could do. We're at the Maggie L. Walker National Historic Site. Now, not historical, but historic site. And I know we're going to talk about Maggie today, so I've sort of started a little area where I can sketch some notes for Maggie. We're going to be talking about kindness. We're going to talk about where this is located, and then maybe your goals for being kind in your own community. So as you're taking notes today, feel free to sketch down whatever you would like to. Our focus is going to be on kindness today. We hope you've already watched the virtual experience. If you've not, that's okay. You can watch it after this. So let's get started. Welcome to episode 5, National Parks Adventure Crossing America. We are at the Maggie L. Walker National Historic Site. I was thrilled to be able to go there in January. It was a little chilly, but my husband and I loved filming with this smiley ranger that you see on the screen right now. She has a smile that lasts forever. And it's not just on the outside, it's the inside too. And we're so lucky we're going to meet 2 rangers today. This is their official national park sign. And I'm going to tell you, don't tell the other parks, but this is one of my favorite signs. I just love the way it fits the neighborhood. It just looks beautiful with all the curly cues and the black iron. But this is the Maggie L. Walker National Historic Site. And I'm not sure if you noticed, but I am sporting their t-shirt. So next time the camera comes to me, make sure to check that out. I found this quote and I wanted to share it. If you want to lift yourself up, lift up someone else. This is by Booker T. Washington. And I feel like this could be something that we really think about today and as we go forward in life. Again, welcome and thanks to the National Park Foundation for this collaboration and for the ability to be able to bring these events to you live. So, what is Crossing America? Those of you that have been with us before, you know this. We're going to talk about the geography. In some places, we'll talk about the science or the engineering. We always love to talk about the stories, and then we're going to make sure that we have a STEM connection. So let's first talk about the geography. Today, we are in Richmond, Virginia. So if you will look on the map, if you're using a map in your scrapbook, make sure you're filling this part in and sort of see how far it is from where you live. Could you make that trip driving in a day? Would it take a plane ride to get there? And then on the left-hand side of the screen, you see the counties that are denoted there. Virginia is a commonwealth, So I'm going to ask that you do a little research on that and see what that actually means and add that to your scrapbook. But we're so thrilled to be at Richmond, Virginia today. So, one of the best parts about our adventures together is that we like to talk with the rangers. Now, two of these rangers aren't represented today, but two of them are, and you're going to see them without their mask. So, you're going to see their beautiful smiles. So, I'm going to go ahead and let us introduce Agena, Ranger Agena, and Ranger Andrea. So, welcome, girls. Thank you for coming today.
Thank you for having us. This is so exciting.
I'm so glad. Well, Andrea, we're going to start with you because the kids haven't met you yet. So the question to you that we've already asked Agena before is, how did you get into the national parks? What is your journey?
So much like Agena, I started out as a physics major. I thought I was going to be a scientist when I was in college. And then when I graduated college and I went to graduate school, I decided to take a different turn and I decided to be a historian. And I was really fortunate. One summer, there was a job opening up in New York. I saw that we have a classroom from New York State here. So Women's Rights National Historical Park hired me on as a summer seasonal. And I fell in love with telling those stories about the first Women's Rights Convention. And after that, I worked there for a few more summers and I got a permanent job in the Park Service. I moved down to Virginia with my family, my daughter Aria, who's in 4th grade, who will probably be watching this at some point. And yeah, and I've been working in Virginia parks ever since. So I ended up at Maggie Walker and at Richmond National Battlefield Park in 2015, where I met the wonderful Ms. Agena Rogers and have had the privilege of working with her ever since. And I am in charge of interpretation for both parks. So I'm responsible for managing all the different visitor centers and how we get to tell these stories. So it's an awesome job and I love doing it.
Well, we're so glad you're here with us today. And could you tell us really quickly, what does interpreting mean again?
So interpreting is telling stories. It's how we share the history. What we have in our parks are resources. We have these wonderful places. We have artifacts, all the different pieces of history. And our job as interpreters is to connect people to those places. So we have to get you excited about the history. We tell stories about what happened in these places. So today you're going to hear about Mrs. Walker's story, or if you've watched Agena's wonderful video, you got to hear about her story. And that's what we do. We tell stories based on that history to get the next generation of park viewers like you guys excited to visit parks and to protect and preserve these awesome places.
Well, that's wonderful. And our goal is to get all 424 plus of these parks into classrooms every year so they can learn more. So, Ranger Agena, first of all, what were you doing today? Why were you late to my phone call?
I wasn't late. I got here 2 minutes and a half ahead of time.
Okay, but what were you doing today? Was this part of your job?
Yes, this is part of my job. We have been very fortunate that even in the pandemic, we have been able to reach out to people who want to come and visit the site, but they do it virtually. So just like we're on the a Zoom call here today, I was just on a WebEx call with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. They were having a lunch and learn series. So they came and I showed them the park film. And then we went for a tour through Mrs. Walker's house by using our virtual tour that we have available on our website. So I've been working with adults first thing this morning, and now I'm very happy to be here with the students. And that's what's fun about being an interpreter. You can go from one type of group to another and just share the stories, share your enthusiasm for the things and the places that you've learned about, and be able to share with others. I love it, love it.
I love it too. And I love that you both are physics majors. Like, that's just crazy. And you're at a historical park, but we know that we've made a connection there. Ranger Agena, what is one of your favorite things about Maggie L. Walker?
One of my favorite things about Maggie L. Walker is Mrs. Walker herself. This just that she was just a person who didn't let things get her down, that she was always looking out for others. And when she needed inspiration, she would turn to other people and to her faith to find that inspiration. So that, that helps me when to know that people who are famous had hard days. And how did they turn things around? They would look to others, they would look to their faith, they would look to help lift up other people. It just inspires me. And then just to be in a place where I can talk about someone like that, that's my favorite part.
Andrea, I saw you shaking your head the entire time. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I agree with everything Agina says. She knows that. I do. I do. I didn't know who Mrs. Walker was before I came here. And then once I visited the site, I said, how is it that more people don't know who this incredible woman is? Just like Agina said, she inspires us every day. We learn something new about her, it seems. The staff has found all kinds of great scholarship on her over the years. And I think just knowing she's so relatable, that here's this incredibly powerful, woman who was just so accomplished, but she had bad days, just like Adina said. She had to struggle with disability. She struggled with tragedy in her family, and that makes her very relatable. And it makes you think, oh, if she could overcome that, I can overcome some of the things going on in my life too. So she is definitely an inspiration to all of us.
What a beautiful story. And I think kids are going to relate to her. I will be honest too, that I did not know of Maggie L. Walker. I'm very grateful to Karen Lee from the National Park Foundation who put this on our radar. Once we left and we were in the car, and my husband and I always debrief about, our adventures while we're there. And I was just in awe of the people that we met there, and then also her story. So let's get to her story a little bit. So kids, you've already watched the story of Maggie L. Walker, but we know that everyone has a story to tell. Everyone. That includes you. Some of you could be writers. Some of you could have already written down things that you may publish later on. If we're going to make a difference in the world, we have to make sure that we tell our stories, no matter if they're rough or not, because it could help someone else. So let's talk a little bit about Maggie Walker. I want to talk about her family today because I feel like that's what was really important to her. And the people that she met along the way also became her family. So as you watched in the video, she gained national prominence when she became the first woman to own a bank in the United States. She was an African-American woman who came through some adversity in her life, and she opened up a bank. Guys, she did this because she wanted to make sure that all of her friends and family had opportunities to work at a bank, get money from a bank. She was all about taking care of those around her. And we read and saw in the video that she did have a disability later on in life. She built an elevator. So when she couldn't get up and down the steps in her home, she learned how to lift herself, as she had done for many years. And in turn, she was lifting others. We also did some research and met Melvin D. Walker. So he was the third and youngest son. He actually attended university like 20 minutes from me. So we live in North Carolina in Durham. And so Shaw University is just down the road. And then he went to work for his mother at the bank. Now, how proud do you think he was that he went to university and then was able to go work for his mom at the bank? So I think it's important to tell his story. I also want to tell the story of her husband, Armstead Walker Jr. So he was also born in Richmond, Virginia. He was a contractor. He was really famous in the trades. He was also a postal worker. But I love that it says he was best well known for being the husband of the famous bank president, Maggie Lena Walker. Yay, girl power. I love that. And we can't forget her mom, who brought her up with these amazing values of hard work. And she actually lived with her daughter. So in the video, we walk through the house and we see all the rooms, and then the rooms she added on. Again, that just goes to show how much Maggie valued her family and wanted to take care of them, and how much they loved each other. And then I wanted to share this story because this was Maggie Lena Walker's foster daughter. And how beautiful is that story? And she lived with the Walker family almost her entire life. And we also found out that she was Maggie Walker's caretaker. And look what Maggie Walker said. She says that she was my faithful companion. You know, when you give, you get. And I think that's what happened in this story. So, what is your story? First of all, let's think about Virginia. Do you have any connections to Virginia? Think about your scrapbook. When you're writing the story down today of Maggie L. Walker, how are you going to make any connections there? Have you visited Virginia? Do you have relatives that have lived there? Do you have people that live there now that are friends? Our second connection, are there any bankers in your family? Anyone that works in finance? That could be a connection to you and Maggie L. Walker. And if none of those two were true, I'm hoping that you would raise your hand really big when I ask the question, do you want to spread kindness to the world? I hope those hands are held high. So I want to share a story very quickly. So Steve, if you'll come back to me, this book is called Change Sings, and it is a poetic book by Amanda Gorman. So many of you might have met Amanda in the last year or two by seeing that she has been named the Youth Poet Laureate, the first one ever. And she actually read the most incredible poem during the inauguration. But she wrote this book, and on the back of it, I love how you can see through that because we're using a green screen. Isn't that cool? On the back of it, I want to read this one piece. I can hear change humming in its loudest, proudest song. I don't fear change coming, and so I sing along. In my mind, I think that Maggie and Amanda would have been friends had they been born in the same time. I found a short clip about Amanda Gorman, and I thought I'd like to share it with you now.
Hi, I love her. Amanda Gorman is the first Youth Poet Laureate in the U.S., using pen and paper to give a voice to social change.
Since I'm the first one, I get to set a precedent. What do I really want to see in the poetic realm in the United States? Yawning wide as the Pacific tide.
Amanda Gorman is the first ever Youth Poet Laureate in the U.S. What is it like to be a first?
It's intimidating, and I never really thought that I would be that person who's the first, because I remember when I was little reading about people, it doesn't get past me that not only am I the first Youth Poet Laureate, but at the same time I'm the first woman Youth Poet Laureate, I'm the first Black Youth Poet Laureate.
19-year-old Amanda was awarded the prestigious title last April at Gracie Mansion in New York City.
A lot of your poetry focuses on social change, social justice. Where does that passion come from?
I think that passion comes from my heritage, comes from this place where, like, I must write, I must speak up, because there's been too many people who've been kept from that opportunity.
Who inspired you growing up?
Oh, my mother.
Amanda grew up in Los Angeles, and she attributes a lot of her success to her mom, Joan Wicks, a teacher who raised her and her twin sister as a single mother. Amanda's passion for poetry started in the 3rd grade.
Talk to me about when you first knew you loved poetry.
I was around 7 or 8 years old, and my teacher, Shelley, had us reading Ray Bradbury's Dandelion Wine. I was like, oh my goodness, Bradbury just related candy to something completely different. That's what I want to do with my life. That's who I want to be.
I love that it was a metaphor. You were a 3rd grader with a metaphor, and that's all you needed.
The metaphor hit home. It was like magic. Poetry has definitely been one of the most stable expressions for me of my identity and who I am. I love whenever I'm writing to have just all these books of people I look up to beside me. What I really like to do is choose like one word from each of like a collection of books I have, make like a word cloud and select them to make a new poem.
But public speaking didn't come naturally.
Heal our past and will always be our future.
It took courage, determination, and grit for Amanda to get on stage.
You've spoken about having a speech impediment, and do you feel like in some ways that led you to poetry?
Oh, 100%. And a lot of times I talk about having a speech impediment and the difficulty of literally speaking up for myself. The voice I'm hearing aloud can't pronounce R's, it can't pronounce sh. It's kind of sounds a bit garbled, but I hear this strong, self-assured voice when I'm reading this, simple text. And what that told me is the power of your inner voice over that which people might hear through their ears. The only thing that could impede me was myself.
Now a sophomore at Harvard, Amanda started One Pen, One Page, an organization inspiring other young writers to share their voices.
So in a world that I think needs light constantly, and a world where social change is being talked about a lot, where does poetry come in?
Poetry is at the forefront of that, from the Declaration of Independence to Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. Poetry has always been the thread that is weaving throughout kind of the fabric of American and global history. I straddle black girls' tango between northern heights. The blood of my pen against the cool flesh of my journal.
What is breaking through, breaking boundaries? What does that mean to you?
I think breaking through, especially in this day and age, is not only breaking through the door, but it's holding it open so that other people can come through. Will we write an American lyric? We are just beginning to tell. Focus on your path, focus on your purpose, and how you, specifically and specially as yourself, can break through a barrier.
Sure. Maggie L. Walker, for 70 plus years, made a difference in the lives of herself, her family, and others. And you have an opportunity to do exactly the same thing. In Amanda's book, she says, I show others tolerance, though it might take some courage. I don't make a taller fence, but fight to build a better bridge. And I talk not only of distances, but from where and how we came. To me, that just tells a beautiful story about how we as people need to be good humans. So that's going to take us to our STEM challenge. So our STEM challenge is going to be goal 16. Our STEM design challenge today is goal 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. We want to figure out ways that we can change the world. I found 4 beautiful quotes. So kids, if you're taking any notes now, here's some quotes that you can have. I'm sure you can find your own, but here is some. Kindness, it costs nothing, but means everything. Never look down on anybody unless you're helping him up. Try to be a rainbow in someone else's cloud. That's Maya Angelou. Love that quote. And then a kind friend is the right kind of friend. So here is our challenge. We know that she achieved success in life, but we also, as Andrea and Agina mentioned, she had some rough times too. So our task is going to be to model after Maggie L. Walker and find ways in our home, our school, and our community to lift others up. How can you be a leader? How can you show kindness? This could be random acts of kindness. It could be some type of leadership club. Or I'll tell you something, when I was young, one of the worst times of being in school for me was during middle school. And I sometimes sat alone at lunch. I don't know why, but it just happened. Can you be that person that makes sure that no one sits alone? Well, we're going to come back to me for a moment, and we're going to talk to some kids and see what they're going to do to change the world. I did want to show you something that I'm doing. So I'm making kindness rocks. So I'm finding rocks out in the neighborhood, finding them all different shapes, and I'm painting on the front and writing a quote on the back. So this one is a rainbow that says shine on. And on the back, it says the power of imagination makes us infinite. And this is John Muir. And this one has some rocks on it and the word joy. Rocks and waters are gifts and words of God to men. How can we bring joy to others? And one more, the mountains are calling and I must go. So that's what I'm going to do. In my scrapbook, I've already put that those are my goals, to make more friendship, kindness, joy rocks. So kids, we're going to ask that you unmute and raise your hand if you would like to. How are you going to spread Maggie L. Walker's legacy and kindness in your classroom and school? Teachers, feel free to use the button on the bottom of the screen to raise your hand. Or if you would just like to unmute and bring anybody up to the screen, I know that Ranger Agina and Ranger Andrea would be thrilled, and I know them well enough, they may even cry if there are some opportunities here for you to share what you're going to do to change the world. Miss Kastner's class, I see some hands up there. If you want to unmute, feel free for them to share.
Yep, I have one student. Landon's on his way up right now.
All right, Landon.
I could invite people to play at recess if they are alone and nobody wants to play with them.
Landon, have you noticed that before in your playground?
Sometimes.
Yeah. So you're gonna make a effort to look for those kids that may be by themselves and invite them to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Landon.
Good job.
Thanks for sharing. Miss Robbins' class, I see your hand up. Would you like to share?
Yep, go ahead, Josh. You could maybe spread kindness by complimenting them, maybe acting nice with them, and yeah, that's really all.
Yeah, so complimenting and acting nice to classmates.
I love that. And a compliment will go a long way. You know, words hurt. They hurt deeply, but words also can heal. So if we decide as humans, as tiny humans for some of you, that our words will only be used for goodness, we could change the world. Thank you for sharing that. Miss Rooney's class said helping elderly citizens crossing the street and doing chores for them. I'm not sure exactly how to say the first name, maybe Jisai or Jisay. That is an amazing thing. Please do that. You know, as we get older, I'm not there yet, but as we get older, it is harder to do things. So offering to help those that can't help themselves is a beautiful, beautiful thing. All right, Biscayne National Park, because we haven't changed our tagline. Go ahead and tell us something. Looks like your microphone's not working there, Biscayne. Can you just drop it in the chat? We can't hear you. All right, looks like she might drop it in the chat. Who else? Who else wants to share some kindness? Oh, Miss Davis's class from Kentucky. Thank you. Can you unmute? I see your hand up. It's got her name on it, though. There you go.
Yes, ma'am. He's on his way up.
Maybe at recess, if someone is injured or hurt, you can help them get to the nurse.
Okay, so which is different than our other fella, because he was going to plan with, or to go ask them to play. You're thinking about if someone is hurt or in need, you're going to be able to help them get someplace. Guys, it only takes a few acts of kindness to make a difference in the world, and you are doing that already. I know that Agina I got a tissue beside her right now. She's already crying. She wants to help. Who else has a way that they would like to help the world? Just feel free to unmute and share. Anyone from Mr. Beast's class or Miss Browning or Miss Rebecca?
All right, we can share something.
If someone's new to like the school or something, you could show them around.
So what you might want to do is share that idea with your teacher and your principals, and you could start maybe a leadership club or a club that's going to be on standby for new students, for visitors, and making sure that when they walk through your school, they know where everything is, and they also feel very welcomed. I like that idea. Thank you. So we have a couple of others in the chat window, cheering someone up by doing something nice for them. Kira, that's beautiful. Helping people that are in need, for example, grabbing an item off of a high shelf at the grocery store. Now, I'm not saying anything, but Ranger Regina, you might like that too, right? You might sometimes need help at the grocery store getting stuff off the very top. So I bet you're hoping that they're going to be there with you. And then Miss Browning's class said, standing up to bullies. Oh my gosh. We need thousands of you to be able to do that. And you don't have to do it in a violent way. You can just say, what you're doing is wrong, and we're not going to let you do that anymore. And research shows that sometimes those types of kind words back can stop a bully in his tracks. So I think that is an amazing thing to do. Well, even with our small group on this venue right here, we already have multiple ways that we're going to be able to change the world. What I'd like to do now before we go to our last video is to ask if there's any questions for our rangers. Ranger Agina and Ranger Andrea are ready to answer any questions. So if you want to drop those in the chat window for us, and we can see, we could even ask them physics questions. Oh my gosh. Well, maybe not. Any questions? So it looks like Miss Kastner's classroom. Go ahead and unmute and go ahead and ask them questions.
Go ahead, Amelia.
Do you like to work at national parks?
Could you?
I'll say yes, I do. I've been working at national parks since I was 19 years old. And I've worked at 5 different parks and have thoroughly enjoyed each one. They're all different. And when someone asked me, what's your favorite park? It usually is the park that I'm in at the time. But I always was able to pick up something important to remember at whatever park I was in. So I have fond memories, and I love being a park ranger.
I agree. And the great thing about national parks and working at national parks is you can start when you're really young, that there are all kinds of opportunities. We have students who are coming this summer who are going to be part of our Maggie Walker Youth Leadership Institute. They're high school age students. So for kids who live in the Richmond area, we do that every summer. It's just a 2-week class, and they can come and they get to go on field trips with the Rangers. It's a lot of fun. And then when they go to college, they can come and be interns with us, and they can come and be seasonal park guides. So one of the great things about working in national parks is you can start when you're young. You can also volunteer at your closest national park. So there are all kinds of ways to be involved. And that's part of the fun too, is all the different people and all the different age groups you get to encounter in national parks.
Can I bring up Jade Turpin?
Yes.
She started with us when she was 12 and a half years old in middle school. She is still volunteering with us at age 21. She just graduated from Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia, and she's still volunteering with us. So, you can start at any age.
I love that. That gives them hope, because some of these kids are 9, 10, 11, and 12 years old. Miss Hall, I see that you're back on. Is your microphone working yet? Do you want to share with your student, or?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Oh,
yes.
goodness. Yeah, we got dropped. I had to log back in. This is Tommy.
Hi, Tommy.
If someone's feeling down, you can go up to them and cheer them up.
Tommy, that's a beautiful thought. Have you ever felt down before?
Mm-hmm.
So I know it means a lot when others can come in and be kind to you that way. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
So we had a question. Have you been to the FDR National Park in Hyde Park, New York? We're in Poughkeepsie. So Ranger Andrea says, yes. She loves that FDR site. And I'm going to tell you that on our website, we have filmed there. So go to our expeditionsandeducation.org site and click on the National Parks Expedition Challenge, and you're going to find the home of Franklin D. Roosevelt. You're going to find the Eleanor Roosevelt video and also the Vanderbilt video. So thanks for sharing that. I was able to do a quick plug for that. Miss Browning's class has a question. Was Maggie happy with how she helped other people? Did this make her happy? And this is coming from Brooklyn.
I would say definitely the way she helped other people, she was very happy with that. She was happy to see that others would learn how to help others from her example, because she knew that to help other people made the world a better place. And that's why she started the bank in 1903, because she saw that people around her were not being helped by others outside of them. And so she wanted to start that bank to make sure that the community, the immediate community, was being helped, and would continue that. And she was getting all the people in her organization, the Independent Order of St. Luke, to come and help others. In fact, when she joined that organization as a teenager, she joined the group called the Good Ideas Council. So they would share good ideas to help others. And when someone was sick or had lost a family members, that was the whole idea behind the Independent Order of St. Luke.
Nice. I think that what we're learning today is, although we may not have known of Maggie L. Walker, it's a good thing we've met her, because now we can really take this message. A few years ago, I was lucky enough to meet someone named Kid President. And about 7 or 8 years ago, he was doing a lot of videos. Now, he's older now, but I'd like to share one of his videos on how to change the world with kindness.
There are lots of ideas how you can change the world. Some people think you should just complain about it. That won't change the world, it'll just make it bad. Some people think you have lots of money, making it rain everywhere you go. Holla for $1. Some people think you have to be really loud and yell a lot. It's like with a bullhorn shouting, "Hey you, yeah you, do it my way right now, you heard?" Other people choose to just make fun of everything. That's dumb, everyone's dumb. It's easy to make fun of stuff, but it's cooler to make stuff. Some people think changing the world can only be done by the smartest person in the world. Just put them in a room, let them figure it out. The solution of world hunger? Food. Wow, that was so amazing. Some people see the bad in the world and they just decide to ignore it, but that won't help anything. Some people think you have to be really famous and super cool. In fact, lots of people think you have to be really powerful to make a difference, like being mayor or senator or president. But the truth is, a title doesn't make you more important. The world is changed by you. It's one person filled with love, and they just have to live it out, so they do something awesome. Then that person is filled with love, and they do something awesome. It just goes on and on and on and on. And the next thing you know, everything's awesome. Some people think it's impossible to change the world.
It's impossible to change the world.
Well, you can see why they could think that. Living in the world with kids who are hungry, people who are homeless, families weren't happy. I'm just trying to figure it out like everybody else, man. I do know this, though. Next time you feel overwhelmed or totally alone, remember this. Things don't have to be the way they are. The world is changed by ordinary people. Little people living out big love. And that's what gives the world a reason to dance. So, how do we change the world?
All right. So again, I got to meet him a few years ago when he was in Durham, North Carolina. And he says that his mission is for other people to start doing the same thing he's doing, because he can't do this forever, right? The cuteness factor, he said, will go away. So we're looking for new kid presidents in the classroom. Boys and girls, please. We want to thank you so much for joining us today for Crossing America, where we've learned more about Maggie L. Walker. Things that you can do. Share your scrapbook with us. Have your teacher get a screenshot or a photo of your scrapbook and send it to us. Share your next big thing, which is all about kindness. What are you going to do? We're going to share all of this with the Maggie L. Walker Rangers who are ready to listen to you. Teachers, we do have a Flipgrid set up for this. So Ms. Kastner, if you don't mind, if you can drop this into the chat window. This is going to be where we're going to ask you to upload your videos of kids that are telling their next big idea in the world of random acts of kindness or showing kindness based on Maggie L. Walker. So make sure that you do that. Let's see. I'm not sure. Let's see if I can get it in there real quickly. I'm not sure if she heard me. So let's see. 7, 1, A, F, 5, 8, 2, F. There we go. So share all of your stuff with us. We can't wait to see you. Remember to join our next event. We have an event tomorrow, but we also have events at the end of March. We're going to be at Casa Grande Ruins in Coolidge, Arizona. We're going to be at Tumacacori, which is in Tumacacori, New Mexico. And then we're also going to be at the Tumacacori, Arizona. Sorry, I go so many places, I don't know where I am. And then we're also going to be at the San Antonio Missions in San Antonio, Texas. A big, big thank you to our Rangers today and all of our people that have joined us. We're so glad you're here. We're going to ask that you turn your cameras on for just a minute so we can get our Brady Bunch picture here. So turn your cameras on and you're going to do a big wave and I'm going to capture this. Ooh, there we go. And I'm going to make sure we see everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We can't wait to see you next time. And on behalf of Maggie L. Walker National Historic Site, Rangers Agena and Rangers Andrea and the National Park Foundation, we are out of here. Until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. This was great.
Bye.